Good morning, listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, let's just recap on our COVID protocols. COVID has been here for a while now. It's our new normal. It will be here for a while still to come. So always wear your mask in public, wash your hands with soap, avoid touching your eyes, avoid close contact with people who are sick, cover or cough or sneeze with a flexed elbow, and clean and disinfect frequently, used surfaces and objects. I'm sure many of us have had COVID, and if not, we know of somebody that's been affected. So we've all been affected by COVID one way or another, and so safety is key. So that's housekeeping for today. Let's carry on. So this is what we'll be presenting today: how to build your business from a finance perspective. By way of introduction, my name is Celeste Leroux. I sit on the executive board of IOPSA as the treasurer. And so I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Beside that board, I sit on the board of the CIDB, which is the Construction Industry Development Board. And then also I'm the CEO of a group of companies, the React Group, which consists of React 24, a site services company. And that's where it all started, from humble beginnings around a kitchen table with my husband, who happens to be my partner, 2 artisans and 1 vehicle. Then we have Retool, which is an equipment hire and repair center. And my pride and joy, the React Training College, which is the first Black woman CETA accredited plumbing training college within the Western Cape. So that's who I am. I hope you feel that you're in safe hands. I'm your captain for the day. Buckle up, grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the flight. So we're going to talk about finance in small businesses. Don't yawn. I'm going to make it as exciting as I possibly can. These are the objectives that I would like to accomplish today. First of all, we look at why small businesses fail. It's important to understand what are the root causes of a failing small business. We need to then understand the importance of a financial plan. Then we're going to look at the need for financial fluency. I didn't want to say literacy because in some aspect, all of us are literate. But fluency is how well do we speak the language of numbers. Then we're going to look at managing the all-important cash flow. And then lastly, we're going to look at value yourself. You know, as small business owners, we sometimes so operationally busy that we don't take care of ourselves or we put ourselves on the back burner. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Let's start with a did you know fact. And this is a big did you know. Did you know that South Africa has one of the highest failure rates for SMMEs? Why is that important? If we consider that SMMEs employ the majority of the population, but the majority of SMMEs are failing, that puts us in dire straits. So that's a startling fact. With 5 out of 7 businesses that fail within the first year. That's just over 70% of small businesses that start the first year and then they're not around. Let's look at why small businesses fail. I'd like to call these the 7 deadly sins, if you will. We're going to look at cash flow later. Lack of cash is obviously the biggest one, but we're going to start with these 7. Let's look at the lack of planning and the impact that it has on our business. So most times people start a small business, they go to Cipro, they register a company, and then they hope everything will be fine. They don't start off with a detailed plan of their long-term, their short-term goals, and everything is just up in the air. So we don't have any understanding of the costs that it's going to take to run the business, our responsibilities, what's happening in the market, what's happening in our industry, what are the trends, funding that we might require, and all those host of other things. And then before long, we become frustrated, we run out of steam, and we find ourselves back at the drawing board. So it's critically important for business owners, small or big, to have a plan. Always start with a plan. I was listening to Brendan chat, it was either last week or the week before, but one of his webinars, he was saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that is absolutely true. You need to start with a plan. The next thing that we're going to look at is solo performance. And here I'm not talking about an owner-operated business where you yourself are a plumber and you might have an assistant and you're doing all the work yourself. I'm talking about a business that has now grown a bit. You've employed people within your business to oversee different departments like accounting and HR, but you still busy. You still busy in the business. You want everybody to come to you. You want to be the sole contact. You want to know what's happening. That's fine. I do agree that you need to have a handle on your business, but you can't be everything to everybody. It's like a whole orchestra on stage, and they want to play this beautiful aria, but the cello person just won't give up his instrument. He just wants to play alone. And in many instances, we feel that we need to wear the HR cap, we need to be the accountant. But if you don't need to, don't perform solo. So the next one is solo performance. A very important one, and I know this takes a lot of discipline. There's no separation of the personal and business accounts, because the thinking is it's my business, it's my cash, and so I'm going to pay the bond or the rent or my school fees or my groceries, and I'm going to use the business card. We need to be disciplined enough to keep those accounts separate. Why? Because in the end, it's going to cause a lot of confusion. You're going to struggle to keep track of what is business costs, what are personal costs, and then in the end, it all becomes muddled. As a general rule, you should establish from the offset what your business can afford to pay you, put that in your account, and keep those accounts separate. So pay yourself a salary. Obviously, you need to consider the cash flow of your business and the tax and so on. And so let's keep it separate. It does take a bit of discipline, but that's what we need to do. Next, lack of proper records and financial systems. I know that it gets busy. You're on the road. You have clients to see. When do you get time to do all the paperwork? When do you get time to invoice? And it becomes crazy. Really, it does, and I understand. Here we need to look at maybe taking advantage of technology. Technology is a one. Oftentimes we use the manual system, and we sit there for hours, when you should be spending time with your family. So take advantage of maybe an accounting system in the cloud, anything that will make your life easier, that'll be efficient in keeping records so that you can show your accountant later or your bookkeeper later, but everything should be systematic. I often find that I can't work in a frazzled state. I'm sure many of you are like that as well. And so it's even happened in our business. The technicians are looking for paperwork at the end of the day, and you go to your vehicle and you find delivery slips and all those things. So we need to keep a proper record of the financial systems. Then this one is a big one, and I know that it affects our businesses. Late payments by large businesses. It was very funny. I was doing a webinar, I think last year, no, 2020, COVID had just hit, and we were in the height of COVID, and we did a webinar on small businesses. And I'd looked in the Sunday Times that weekend, and there was a big splash, and it had said something about a listed business that put out this ad that says, we vow to pay our suppliers within 30 days. And my thought was, what else are you doing? When are you paying your contractors? It should be 30 days. And, for all those listed companies out there, the facilities management companies, the impact that it has on small businesses when payment is late. It means that we can't often pay our suppliers. We need to pay our employees. And I know, I'm sure I'm not alone, where many companies that you deal with, you first have to submit a quotation, even though you've done the work. Then you need to wait for a purchase order, and then only you can invoice. And that takes it out of the terms already. And oftentimes you get paid much later than 30 days. So that's an important one to look out for. I know that people that deal with government departments, it is a thing. I know within the CIDB, we put great emphasis on that because we understand the business, your small business, and what it takes to run that business. The next one that I'd like to touch on is passion is not expertise. And please, guys, this is by no means insulting or anything like that. We're often very passionate about our business, but it doesn't mean, or it doesn't make us a good accountant, doesn't make us a good HR manager, and that's okay. We need to outsource here. Don't expect that because you're so passionate about your baby, about your business, that you need to be good at everything. You don't have to. What you do have to do is you need to stay ahead of the game by proper business management, finance management, and train up your staff, train up yourself. Don't wait too late until you have to learn. A lot of people might say that experience is a good teacher. I would say sometimes not, because if you've learned that lesson by experience, it means that you've had to pay something. And so let's try and mitigate that if we can. The next one is poor management. Let's go back. I'd like to go back to passion is not expertise. And here I'd like us to look at the value of enterprise development programs. There are lots of government interventions. And I'm saying this because our business itself was on an EDP program. And so we got involved with a wonderful company called Property Point, and they are passionate about small businesses. In fact, they are advocates for small businesses. They bring in the much needed expertise, such as accounting, legal, anything like that, anything that your business needs, information. A lot of times access of information can be a barrier for us small businesses. So an enterprise development program. And then I need to tell you about IOPSA as well. I haven't been with IOPSA very long as a board member, but there's one thing that I do know about IOPSA. They are passionate. And when I tell you passionate, I mean passionate. But the most important thing is they are always accessible. Give them a call, go onto their website, see the benefits that you get from being a member of IOPSA. And a lot of times, especially insurances, they look at you differently when you are associated with IOPSA. There's that level of comfort that they have because they know IOPSA and the integrity of the association. So that's poor management. That's passion is not expertise. We've looked at poor management. Have we covered everything? Yes, we have. No, we haven't. We haven't looked at poor management. Let's look at poor management. They often say people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. What does that mean? When you hire somebody as a manager, make sure that they grab hold of your vision, that they share your vision, but that they also share your passion for developing the people in your business and listening to those people in the business. So those are the 7 deadly sins of why small businesses fail within the context of South Africa and our economic climate. The next thing that we're going to do is let's look at the importance of a financial plan. I know it sounds boring, but hold on, keep up with me. I'm going to show you why. The importance of a financial plan is to serve as a roadmap. Your financial plan is going to show you where the dips are going to be, where the valleys are going to be, how to avoid the pitfalls, when to avoid the pitfalls. Then there's also, you need a financial plan very often as part of your business plan. You're not going to get an appointment with any investor or any banker without producing a financial plan. That financial plan also helps with the cash flow. And we're going to get into cash flow a little bit later because it is extremely important. So a financial plan helps you in managing your cash flow. The next thing it does, it better allocates funds to where the business is making money. So this is where your financial plan is going to show you, this is where I make my money. This is where I don't make so much money. These are the seasons that I have to look out for. And so I need to build up a cushion for those seasons when it's a bit drier. And that's what the financial plan helps you do. Also, it assists in measuring progress. What you can't measure, you don't know whether it's successful. It's as simple as that. That's what the financial plan helps you do. It helps you track your progress. Are you on top of your goals? Are you keeping up? The next one we're going to look at is the need for financial fluency. As I said earlier, I don't like saying literacy because in some aspect, we all literate in finance. It just depends on the fluency. How well do you speak the language of numbers? And why is it important? So first of all, what's financial fluency? Well, it's the understanding of financial terminology, the statements, the concepts, and knowing how to use this information to make the correct financial decisions. When you start a business, the objective, I hope, when you start a business is to create wealth. And within creating wealth, a business has to take into consideration 4 decisions. You have to make investing decisions. You have to make financing decisions. There's a whole host of decisions that are going to be decided upon, but it all depends on your financial fluency. Now, why do we need it? Have you ever heard scary stories of when a business might go bang and they turn around and they say, oh, but I'd given the books to my accountant. No shade at any accountants out there. We need them. God knows we need them. But it's important for us to be able to understand what that accountant or bookkeeper is showing us when they show us the financial statements. How do we interpret it and how do we understand it? I want to give you some statistics. I like statistics because it means some research has been done. So they took 400 small businesses and they wanted to measure what is the cost of making bad financial decisions or the lack of financial fluency. What does it cost a small business? And do you know that on average it costs a small business over 91,000 Rand per annum? That's a lot of money to lose because of a lack of financial fluency, because you're not fluent. The other biggest mistakes that they found, or the most expensive mistakes of businesses, was being irresponsible with cash flow, not investing in technology when it's needed, not knowing how to use government support schemes, and then being too slow to adapt the business. Incidentally, the biggest gap or the biggest knowledge gap was tax implications. And the penalties that small businesses had to pay because they didn't understand the language of finance. And why do we need to be financially fluent? Well, you can't start a business without having cash. So especially in the early days, you're so focused on your clients and how you need to service them that you don't really have time to spend on looking at the finances. So the next thing is you need control of your business. It's your responsibility as a small owner to look after the interest of your business. So it helps with control. And then also scalability. When can I invest? When can I buy more equipment? When should I get rid of equipment? Because there's dead stock in my stores that I need to get rid of, and I need to open up some cash flow. Let's look at managing cash flow. I could go on for days about this one. Have you ever heard, and I'm sure we've all heard this, cash is king. There's a saying that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, but cash is king. Why do we say cash is king? Let's look at the difference. What is cash? Cash simply is the money that's in your bank account at any given time. So when you go to the bank, how much cash can I draw out? The cash flow is the movement of that cash in your business. When money comes in, when your customer pays you, and when money flows out, when you have to pay your suppliers. And how well do you manage the movement of that cash? And sometimes we get confused between cash flow and profit. Profit is the net income, your income minus your expenses, what you're left with, that's your profit. So that's the difference between cash flow and profit. So when we look at this, we can see that a profitable business doesn't necessarily mean a successful business, because a profitable business might reflect, oh, there's money coming in, debtors need to pay, sales have been done, but that money is not reflected in your bank account. So profit does not equal success. We need to understand that. Let's look at the advantages of managing your cash flow. You're then equipped to deal with any unforeseen eventuality. Think about COVID. We needed to tighten the belts. We needed to manage our cash flow even more. Then we need to forecast expenses. How much do I need to pay my rent every month, my salaries over a certain period of time? That's forecasting your expenses. And then your decision-making will be based on your cash flow. Tips on managing cash flow, very importantly, optimize your invoicing. Don't wait until the end of the month to do your invoicing. As soon as you've completed that job, invoice, 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 as soon as you can. Make sure that your books are kept up to date. And like I said, to make sure that you understand what your books are telling you. Optimize your accounts receivable. What that means is I'm going to tell my client, if you pay me within 14 days, I'll give you a 2.5% discount. However, if you pay me late, I'm going to add 2.5% on that amount. Then we need to liquidate cash that's tied up into assets. This has happened in our business as well. You hold on to stock, and before long, that stock becomes redundant. You can't use it anymore. Liquidate the cash so that you can invest in equipment, new technology. Maybe some equipment is lying dormant. Sell it, get rid of it, get that cash into your bank, build up a cash reserve. Last, within our few remaining minutes, value yourself. I'm going to talk about the S factor. The S factor simply says that your self-worth creates success. Why do I say this, and why do I feel that it's important with managing your finances? Simply, we don't pay ourselves first. I'm sure that there are many plumbers out there. They say, I need to pay my staff first. I need to pay my suppliers. And then with whatever is left, I'll pay myself. It doesn't matter how small it is. Make sure that you're paying yourself. It's the principle of paying yourself. It means that you value yourself and your expertise, what you're putting into the business. Then let's look at the bad habits that we need to get out of that affect our self-worth. Draining the well. Don't allow people to dump all the pressure on you. And so I'm sure many of us have been in company of people where we walk away and we feel absolutely drained because they vented and we haven't had a chance to vent. Being stingy, but especially with yourself. Christmas is past now. How many of us have bought our kids PlayStations, our wife a new a dishwasher. But when it came to ourselves, we said, you know what, I'll look at it next year. Always listening, but never speaking. That means not standing up for yourself necessarily, but when you listen and somebody tells you how bad things are, what the economy is doing, and you just sit there, you don't like confrontation, and so you just absorb everything like a sponge. That can be extremely draining. Same thing when you speak, but you never listen. You're not getting a new, clear perspective. You're not listening to what somebody is saying. Stand up for yourself. And I know this is especially difficult when you're reliant on customers, but you felt that you've been done in unfairly or your invoices are being paid late. Stand up for yourself. It's important. Then we need to set clear boundaries. Always in anything in life, it's about building relationships. This is my boundaries. Please don't overstep. Next one, be positive in your self-talk. We talk to ourselves all day long, every day. And I'm sure that if we played it back as a tape recorder, we wouldn't even be friends with ourselves. That's sometimes how bad that self-talk is. Listen to the way we talk ourselves. Then next, join a positive community. I always say entrepreneurs have a special anatomy. We're made up differently. And so we often cannot be in the company of people that don't share our vision, or again, they say the economy is bad, you're mad to go out on your own. Join a positive community. The last one, create a worthy space for yourself, especially now with people working at home. Carve out a space in your home where it feels comfortable, where you like being, where your family knows this is just my space to be. This is my space to enjoy myself. And so that all adds to your value and your self-worth. And I think my time is up. Karim, Steve, are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Celeste, for this informative session. Steve, is there anything from your side?
Yeah, I think Celeste, well done, and thank you very much for that insight. And I think you and I have been talking over the same hymn page. It's something that I see on a daily and a weekly basis. Where I think years ago we did a survey, and it came in at 70% of the plumbing contractors were basically financially unstable or technically insolvent was the word that actually came out. And I think for me and for those in attendance today is to listen to what Celeste is saying. I think what we invest in our business and what I see from many plumbers is that we don't understand cash flow. We don't understand reading a balance sheet or putting that plan together. Even when we start a business, it's that we're going to do all things plumbing, but we don't look at our customers and where we're going to be looking at and what is going to be our strengths and weaknesses. And I think one of the hardest things is to actually look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, what am I doing? Am I running around trying to fix and be everything to everybody? Or am I going to focus? And I think, that focus is very key. Many years ago we had a conference at Sun City, and I'll never forget Dr. Ian Player, which was Gary Player's brother. And he was an environmentalist and everything else. And he would say, have a look at a lion or a cheetah or anything that's going hunting. It focuses. There's a whole herd there, but it focuses on one thing, and nothing detracts it from actually getting to what that first focus was. I think when we start applying that to business and how we're going to focus, how we're going to look at ourselves and evolve, what we did yesterday is not going to be the same today. So, we could talk about this for hours. And Celeste, again, I know you've got another session coming up, but I think, thank you very much for what you've implanted today. And just, I hope that we just embrace it and have a look at it and then have a self-reflection at our time. My time is 4 o'clock in the morning where I can sit and I can look and I can think and I start my day positive in terms of different things that I do. But I think it sets me up for the rest of the day when everybody's going to moan and shout at me. But I think Celeste has walked that walk, and we need to reflect and look on what's there. And just a positive thing, last week, Tuesday, I had a meeting where we are putting a workshop together, detailed training in terms of understanding cash flow, the cost of being in business, which we've done before, but packaging it so that we have the opportunity there for individuals and plumbers and those that are thinking of going into business to be able to understand that. So Celeste, awesome. Thank you and well done.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time, listeners, and have a wonderful start to the week and a wonderful start to the new year. I wish you all the best.